Good afternoon, live from New Delhi. You're watching DD India Live, India's voice to the world. I'm Shubhendu Ghosh, coming up in the next 30 minutes. Army Chief Munir woke me at 2:30 a.m. on May 10th. Pakistan Prime Minister Sharif admits India's missile hit Noor Khan airbase and other key locations. To corner Pakistan globally, India to send 7 all-party delegations across the world. Moody's downgrades US credit rating from top level for the first time amid fears over soaring debt. White House dismisses Moody's downgrade on US credit rating. In sports, India's Praggnanandhaa clinches Superbet Classic title, beats Maxim Vachier-Lagrave after 3-way tie in Romania. Pakistan's Prime Minister Shehbaz Sharif admitted that India's ballistic missiles hit Noor Khan airbase and other sites on May 10th. Addressing a ceremony held at Pakistan Monument on Friday, Pakistan Prime Minister Sharif said Army Chief General Asim Munir called him around 2:30 a.m. to report the strikes. Sharif mentioned the use of local technology and Chinese jets used by Pakistan's Air Force, but confirmed that India's missiles hit their targets.
रात में तकरीबन 2:30 बजे सिपह सलार जनरल सईद आसिम मुनीर ने मुझे सिक्योर फोन पे मुझे बताया कि वज़ीर-ए-आज़म साहब, हिंदुस्तान ने अपने बैलिस्टिक मिसाइल अभी लॉन्च किए हैं, एक नूर खान एयरपोर्ट पे गिरा है और कुछ और दूसरे इलाकों में गिरे हैं.
Meanwhile, BJP leader Amit Malviya pointed to Sharif's admission and noted that such a call reveals precision and boldness of Operation Sindur. India launched Operation Sindur on May 7th as a decisive military response to April 22nd Pahalgam terror attack. Air Marshal A.K. Bharati presented the composite picture on 12th of May of the targets engaged by the Indian Air Force during Operation Sindur.
We have targeted the length and breadth of the adversary. I'm sure most of you would have already seen the effect of these strikes on ground, courtesy the large number of videos and photographs being circulated in the media. A few representative examples from the open source are now being shown to you on the screen. In fact, 2 of them. This is the strike on the Noor Khan airbase. And you can see the effect. I'm sure most of you have seen the video. I have also picked it up from your sources only. This is the aftermath of our strike at Raimiar Khan airbase. You can see the massive crater that it has left on its runway.
And after these strikes on May 10th, an understanding of cessation of hostilities between India and Pakistan was announced. Now, in the context of Operation Sindur, India's continued fight against cross-border terrorism, 7 all-party delegations are set to visit key partner countries, including members of the United Nations Security Council. Shashi Tharoor, Ravi Shankar Prasad, Sanjay Kumar Jha, Baijant Panda, Kanimoy Karunanidhi, Supriya Sule, Srikant Eknath Shinde, each will lead 7 delegations. The all-party delegations will project India's national consensus and resolute approach to combat terrorism in all forms and manifestations. They would carry forth to the world the country's strong message of zero tolerance against terrorism. Members of parliament from different parties, prominent political personalities and distinguished diplomats will be part of each delegation. The tour is expected to last about 10 days, commencing on May 23rd. This is the first time that the centre will depute MPs from multiple parties to present India's stance on Kashmir and cross-border terrorism originating from Pakistan. Parliamentary Affairs Minister Kiren Rijiju is leading the coordination efforts for this international tour, marking a significant step in India's diplomatic outreach. Meanwhile, in a significant nationwide outreach effort, 11-day-long Tiranga Yatra is underway across the country to honour the courage and sacrifice of India's armed forces, particularly in the light of the recently concluded and successful Operation Sindur. In support of Operation Sindur, a Tiranga Yatra was organised in northwestern Indian city of Udaipur to showcase the solidarity with the forces and patriotism. Carrying the national flag and chanting slogans like Bharat Mata Ki Jai, participants from all walks of life paid tributes to the bravery and sacrifices of Indian soldiers. In a powerful display of patriotism and solidarity, northeastern state of Sikkim witnessed a grand Tiranga Yatra on Friday in Gangtok in the honour of Indian Armed Forces, which successfully executed Operation Sindur in response to the recent terrorist attack in Pahalgam. Tiranga Yatra was also held in India's Agartala, waving the tricolour and chanting patriotic slogans. Participants in Tripura marched with high energy, turning the streets of Agartala into a sea of saffron, white and green. Union Minister L. Murugan participated in this Tiranga Yatra. A grand Tiranga Yatra was also held in Rajasthan's Kota city to celebrate the success of Operation Sindur and honour the bravery of Indian Armed Forces. The event was led by Speaker of Lower House of Indian Parliament Om Birla. Thousands, including citizens, public representatives, youth, women, participated in this march. People from all walks of life came together in North Indian city of Hapur to honour the courage and sacrifice of Indian soldiers and celebrate the recent triumph of Operation Sindur. India's Ministry of Culture has launched a powerful binding initiative, Ek Desh, Ek Dhadkan, One Nation, One Heartbeat, to honour the brave hearts of the nation. The slogan, Ek Desh, Ek Dhadkan, is being widely adopted across digital platforms, amplifying the spirit of unity, patriotic fervour and reverence for the tricolour. The campaign has already begun to resonate strongly with citizens across the country. Over the past 48 hours, all 43 institutions under the aegis of Ministry of Culture have shown cohesive and enthusiastic participation. The ministry said prominent cultural institutions and heritage sites have been illuminated in the colours of the Indian flag. Under supervision of Archaeological Survey of India, more than 60 heritage monuments across the country have been lit with the tricolour. The State Investigation Agency is conducting raids at multiple locations across central and North Kashmir. Sources say searches are in connection with an ongoing crackdown on suspected terror-related activities in the region. The searches are being conducted at Sopore, Baramulla, Andwara, Gandarbal and Srinagar areas on Saturday. No arrest or recovery has been reported so far. More details are awaited. In other news, the total number of Aadhaar authentication transactions has crossed 150 billion mark, making it a milestone moment in the journey of Unique Identification Authority of India and the broader Aadhaar ecosystem. The landmark highlights the extensive use and utility of Aadhaar and the growth of digital economy in the country. Ministry of Electronics and IT in a statement said the cumulative number was achieved by the end of April 2025. Since its inception, the ministry added that in April alone, almost 210 crore Aadhaar authentication transactions were carried out of which nearly 8% or more than the same month last year. It added that Aadhaar-based authentication has been playing a stellar role in aiding ease of living, in effective welfare delivery, in voluntary availing various services offered by service providers. Aadhaar eKYC service continues to play a key role in improving customer experience and adding ease of doing business in sectors including banking and non-banking financial services. Besides, more than 100 entities, both in government and private sector, are using face authentication for smooth delivery of benefits and services. Some news from across the world. United States lost its last AAA credit rating from a major agency on Friday as Moody announced a downgrade to AA1. It cited rising debt and interest payments that outpaced those similarly rated sovereigns. This move marked the end of an era as Moody's was the last major agency to maintain a AAA rating for American sovereign debt. Moody's warned it expects federal deficits to widen to almost 9% of economic output by 2035, up from 6.4% last year. As a result, it expects the federal debt burden to increase to about 134% of GDP by 2035. Moody's decision to downgrade the United States from its top credit rating mirrors similar decision from two other major US ratings agencies, S&P and Fitch. Since his return to White House, President Donald Trump has pledged to balance the US budget, while his Treasury Secretary, Scott Bessent, has repeatedly said the current administration aims to lower US government funding costs. The administration's mix of revenue-generating tariffs and spending cuts through Elon Musk's Department of Government Efficiency has highlighted a keen awareness of the risks posed by mounting government debt, which, if unchecked, could trigger a bond market rout and hinder the administration's ability to pursue its agenda. The downgrade came as the tax bill failed to clear a key procedural hurdle on Friday as hardline Republicans demanding deeper spending cuts blocked the measure in a rare political setback for the Republican president in Congress. More news from the US. The Supreme Court on Friday upheld a block on President Trump's plan to deport Venezuelan migrants, saying his administration tried to remove them without proper legal process under a rarely used 1798 wartime laws. The justices, in a brief and unsigned opinion, granted a request by American Civil Liberties Union attorneys representing the migrants to maintain the halts on the removals for now. Due process generally requires the government to provide notice and an opportunity for a hearing before taking certain adverse actions. The Supreme Court, meanwhile, clarified that the administration was free to pursue deportations under other provisions of US immigration law. The administration has accused the migrants of being members of Tren de Aragua, a criminal gang originating in Venezuelan prisons that State Department has designated as foreign terrorist organization. Trump has invoked the Alien Enemies Act in a bid to swiftly deport them. Trump criticized the Supreme Court's action, writing on social media, while conservative justices Samuel Alito and Clarence Thomas publicly dissented from Friday's decision. This was the second time that Trump's actions concerning Venezuelan migrants had come before the Supreme Court in a legal dispute that has raised questions about the administration's willingness to comply with limits set by the nation's highest judicial body. And still to come on this edition of TT India Live. US to begin talks with NATO partners on troop reductions in Europe. US approves first blood test for Alzheimer's. And IPL resumes after brief suspension due to Operation Sindur.
Our actions harm the planet. But the good news is, we can also mitigate some of the damage.
We store the waste material like metal dust, metal pins that accumulates so that we can use it later for painting or some other artwork.
We've invented our own alternative cement, which essentially is compatible with crop residues, because of which Agrocrete, the world's first verified carbon negative bioconcrete.
When my son died, I wanted to take my life too. I lost a child, but I have started an initiative and planted 500,000 trees.
As an alternative to clay bricks, we have come up with concrete hollow blocks that are environmentally friendly.
You're watching TT India Live. I'm Shubhendu Ghosh. Update now on the Russia-Ukraine conflict. Ukraine rallied support from its Western allies on Friday after Kiev and Moscow failed to agree to a ceasefire at their first direct talks in more than 3 years. Under pressure from US President Donald Trump to end the conflict, Ukrainian and Russian delegates met for the first time since March of 2022 to discuss possible resolutions. The brief talks in Istanbul resulted in a deal to exchange 1,000 prisoners each. While Russia showed willingness to continue dialogue, Ukraine called for stronger Western sanctions if Moscow rejects Donald Trump's proposed 30-day ceasefire. As soon as the talks ended, Ukrainian President Zelensky held a phone call with Trump and the leaders of France, Germany and Poland. Meanwhile, Trump on Friday stated he needs to meet with Russian President Vladimir Putin regarding the situation in Ukraine.
He and I will meet. I think we'll solve it, or maybe not, but at least we'll know.
Ukrainians expressed relief, meanwhile, and hope after Russia and Ukraine agreed to a prisoner exchange. While the prisoner swap marked a positive step, many Ukrainians are cautiously optimistic, hoping it could lead to more substantial negotiations between the two sides. The United States plans to begin discussions with European allies later this year about reducing its military presence on the continent. Speaking at a security conference in Estonia on Friday, US Ambassador to NATO Matthew Whitaker confirmed that while no decision has been made as yet, the Trump administration is preparing to move forward with plans that would have been under consideration for long. Whitaker stressed that United States will hold discussions on any changes in troop numbers with allies to avoid security gaps. While the prospect of US troops reduction has raised concerns among European allies, Whitaker reassured NATO partners that Washington remains committed to the alliance. Earlier in February, US Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth told NATO allies that stark strategic realities prevent the United States of America from being primarily focused on security of Europe. Reports by The Atlantic in March revealed that Hegseth and Vice President Vance had criticized European defense spending in a private chat. According to The Atlantic, Hegseth expressed his, it is said, disgust at European freeloading. In other news, Israeli army released a video on Friday showcasing strikes on Hamas military infrastructure. The IDF, in a post on social media platform X, said that the IDF has begun conducting extensive strikes and mobilizing troops to achieve what it calls operational control in areas of Gaza over the past day. This is part of preparations to expand operations and fulfill the objectives of the war, including release of hostages and dismantling the Hamas terrorist organization. IDF troops will continue to operate in order to protect Israeli civilians and achieve the objectives of the war. The Israeli military on Friday night announced the launch of the initial phase of the major new ground and air campaign in Gaza, codenamed Operation Gideon's Chariots, approved unanimously by the Israel Security Cabinet on May 5th. The operation marks a shift towards the goal of reasserting control over the Gaza Strip, intensifying efforts to dismantle Hamas. In a statement, Israel Defense Forces said it had carried out extensive strikes and deployed troops to key positions across Gaza as part of the campaign's opening maneuvers. The military described the offensive as strategic escalation intended to achieve the full objectives of the war, including the liberation of hostages still held by Hamas and the group's total defeat. Meanwhile, the Arab League will convene in Baghdad later on Saturday to address the escalating war in Gaza and broader regional crisis. Though key leaders are notably absent, the summit allows US President Trump's controversial Gulf tour, during which he sparked outrage by proposing that US takeover of Gaza and transforming it into a Riviera of Middle East. Most Gulf nations are attending at the ministerial level. UN Secretary General Antonio Guterres and Spanish Prime Minister Pedro Sanchez are also attending the meet. Iraq is hosting its first Arab League summit since 2012, views the event as a platform to showcase regional leadership and post-war stability amid Syria's ongoing transition. In a significant breakthrough, the US has approved its first blood test for Alzheimer's, offering hope for earlier diagnosis and intervention in the disease. Developed by Fujirebio Diagnostics, The test measures the ratio of two proteins linked to amyloid plaques, a key indicator of Alzheimer's. Until now, these plaques could only be detected via costly and invasive brain scans and spinal taps. US Food and Drug Administration Commissioner Marty McCary emphasized the urgency, noting that 10% of Americans over 65 are affected, a number that is expected to double by 2050. Experts believe early detection may help patients benefit more. While it's not a cure, the blood test could provide families precious time and clarity. The FDA has authorized tests for clinical use in patients showing signs of cognitive decline. In other news, Brazil, the world's top chicken exporter, confirmed its first bird flu outbreak on a poultry farm in Montenegro on Friday, prompting a nationwide trade ban from China and regional restrictions. Authorities are stepping up efforts to control the outbreak. People wearing hazmat suits were seen placing egg cartons and other items into a hole in the ground for burning and subsequent bedding. Veterinary officials are isolating the area of the outbreak, hunting for more cases in an initial 10-kilometer radius. State officials say the outbreak is already responsible for the deaths of some 17,000 farm chickens, either directly from the disease or due to cautionary culling. The Agriculture Ministry stated countries including China, the European Union, South Korea would ban poultry imports from Brazil for a period of 60 days under existing protocols. News now from the world of entertainment. At the 78th Cannes Film Festival, India is inviting international productions, official co-productions for film shooting and post-productions. Special sessions are conducted for foreign film delegations. DD India correspondent Jasina brings us more.
At the prestigious Cannes Film Festival, the Bharat Pavilion continues to draw global attention. A delegation of Brazilian producers and directors visited the pavilion, exploring collaboration opportunities with India's vibrant film industry.
I know that we have many things, common things to explore in terms of culture and history also. So we can for sure develop projects together with India, especially trying to learn how your style, India's style, can influence Brazil in our way to shoot, you know, because you have a kind of very musical way to work, which is good for us.
I traveled to 5 different cities, and it was the most life-changing, incredible experience I've ever had. Just the people, the food, the energy, and there was just, India is really the microcosmos of the world, and I think that would make a beautiful, beautiful film.
The pavilion is showcasing the country as a premier destination for shooting and film production. From its diverse landscapes to world-class post-production facilities, India offers unmatched cinematic possibilities.
I think it's an amazing meeting, and I hope it could be more in other editions.
Ministry of Information and Broadcasting, Government of India has launched incentive schemes for international productions in India for live shoots as well as for animation, post-production and visual effects services, and for official co-productions with foreign countries.
Especially for countries like Brazil, they themselves are very rich in culture and finances, and Brazil is a very good ally for India, and it's very good if we do collaborate.
These panels are going to really help people and the co-production and the filmmakers to understand in terms of every logistics, in terms of funding, in terms of clearances, in terms of one window. It's not rocket science anymore. There will be people to help you.
Single window clearance, cashback incentives up to 40%. Audiovisual co-production agreement with at least 16 countries. At the crossroad of creativity and global partnership, India is definitely shining bright. With camera person Sumit, this is Jayasena reporting for DD India from Cannes.
Let's now talk about cricket. The biggest cricket carnival, Indian Premier League, is set to resume on Saturday as Ajinkya Rahane-led Kolkata Knight Riders lock horns with Rajat Patidar's Royal Challengers Bengaluru. The tournament, which has 13 matches remaining, will continue across 6 Indian cities, with the final now scheduled for June 3rd. Playoffs qualification beckons Bengaluru, while elimination stares Kolkata Knight Riders in the face as the two sides meet in the 58th fixture. A win for RCB over the defending champion will guarantee a top 4 berth and clear the course for it to stake claim for top 2 spot. For KKR, a defeat will send the outfit crashing out. In chess, India's R. Praggnanandhaa clinched the Superbet Classic title in Romania after edging out Maxim Vachier-Lagrave and Alireza Firoza in the Blitz decider in a dramatic 3-way tiebreak. The 18-year-old Indian Grandmaster held his nerve in the final game against Maxim, sealing a memorable win in the opening leg of the Grand Chess Tour. That's all for this edition of DD India Live. Let us know your thoughts on the news of the day. For those on the go, you can get all the latest news and updates from India and across the world on DD India mobile app. This app is available on both Android and iOS. Scan the QR code on your screens and download now. We'll be back with more news as it breaks here on DD India. I'm Shubhendu Ghosh from all of us here in Delhi. Thanks for watching DD India Live. Namaskar. Have a great day.